1 week from today, next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern on the dot. That is the deadline. Chief Justice John Roberts gave special counsel Jack Smith today to respond to Donald Trump's latest bid for immunity. Yesterday, Trump filed an emergency application challenging a federal appeals court ruling which said he was not immune from criminal prosecution. Trump's request now to the Supreme Court is to effectively freeze his federal election interference criminal trial. His lawyers argue the special counsel seeks urgently to force President Trump into a months-long criminal trial at the height of campaign season, effectively sidelining him and preventing him from campaigning against the current president, to whom the special counsel ultimately reports, President Biden. Joining me now is the brilliant Barbara McQuade, former U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan. Barb, thank you for being here. I am not a lawyer, as I say frequently, but the Supreme Court giving Jack Smith a week to respond to all of this seems like the court is not moving so efficiently, shall we say. Am I wrong here in thinking that?
No, I had the same reaction, Alex. It does not suggest that they're acting with a lot of urgency. But, of course, Jack Smith could file his response before a week goes by. In fact, if they're not working on it right now, as you and I are speaking, they're doing it wrong. They've known this was coming. They knew Donald Trump would be filing his request by Monday. And so I have to think that they are crossing the T's and dotting the I's at this moment and will likely beat that deadline by quite a bit.
Do you, so what do you make of, assuming Jack Smith files before the deadline of the 20th, what do you expect in terms of indications for how the court is thinking of Trump's appeal here?
You know, it's difficult to say because they can go in a lot of different directions. The thing that they could do that would, I think, give us the best sense is to simply deny the stay, treat it as a petition for certiorari review, and say we're going to let the lower court decision stand. That would be a very loud response to what they think of it, and case is over. On the other hand, they could decide they want to grant the stay. They're going to let Donald Trump even take the case to the en banc, the full court of the Court of Appeals below, and then before the U.S. Supreme Court. That would be the other extreme, which would suggest that this is on a very slow boat. And in that case, I can't imagine the trial occurring before the election. What's more likely, though, Alex, is somewhere in between, that they do decide to take it up, but that they do so on a more expedited basis. And if they do that, I think a decision could be made within a month or two and get this case back on track for trial by summertime.
Can we talk a little bit about that, though? If they take a month or two to effectively unfreeze the case, to put it in layman's terms, I mean, A, what's your expectation about the Alvin Bragg case, which is kind of on hold as the feds work out the timetable for their criminal election interference case? And then B, I mean, is the Supreme Court going to really consider the implications of, as Trump's lawyers point out, having a federal election interference case in the middle of a campaign?
So in terms of coordinating the other cases, I think it'll actually work out just fine. You know, we've got this hearing in New York on Thursday, so we'll know more about the trial there. But March 25th appears to be the trial date for the New York hush money case. That trial won't last more than a couple of weeks, and so that one will be long over. And so I think that puts the federal election interference case on track for a trial to start early summer, maybe around June 1st. And then with regard to your other question about whether this is a legitimate argument that the president, a candidate for president needs to be campaigning, all defendants would have that argument. Everybody has a job. Everybody has important things to do. And so I don't think that should interfere. I think a trial, it gets set by a court in its own pace, and the idea that I have more important things to do just is not part of the consideration that this court should be looking at.
So we're going to have more intel on the Alvin Bragg case, as you point out, hearing on Thursday. Judge Engoron is also supposed to rule in A.G. James' civil fraud case. Do you have any expectation there, given the combativeness between the judge and Trump's defense team in the last week?
I don't know. You know, there has been this reporting about the judge asking for additional information about a perjury charge with Alan Weisselberg, and so that has delayed his decision here. You know, difficult to know how things are going to come out. But in light of the summary judgment decision that Judge Engoron issued, it seems to me very likely that he will find a verdict in favor of the Attorney General, and that we'll see some big numbers.
Big numbers due by Friday. Barbara McQuade, our expert. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Barb. Really appreciate it.